Most people don't realize it, but they're sleepwalking through life. They wake up, go through the motions, follow the rules, check the boxes, and wonder why they feel so empty. It's not that they don't have potential, it's that they're ignoring it, and deep down, they know it. They can feel it every time they scroll past an opportunity, talk themselves out of a dream, or settle for just okay. But here's the truth, nobody says out loud. The real danger isn't failure, it's regret. And if you keep living this way, you're going to feel it soon. Here's the uncomfortable part. The clock is ticking. Life isn't waiting. And the longer you delay, the further you drift from who you could have been. What if the opportunity of a lifetime is knocking, but you're too distracted, too scared, or too comfortable to answer? What if the best version of you is trapped behind the same excuses you've been telling yourself for years? This video is your wake-up call, raw, honest, and impossible to unhear. Because there's a price for staying stuck, and it's far more painful than the risks you're avoiding. We'll walk through the things you've been avoiding, those dreams you buried, the fears you haven't faced, the time you've wasted pretending you're fine. This isn't about shame. It's about power. Your power to choose differently, to break the loop, to stop living small, and finally go after what you were made for. And if you think that sounds dramatic, good. Because it is. This isn't a feel-good message. It's a challenge, one that just might flip your entire perspective. So here's the deal. You can ignore this. You can click away. Go back to scrolling, back to routines, back to safety. But if you do, there's a part of you that will regret it. Maybe not today, but eventually. Or you can stay with me. Take the risk, feel the fire, and start building a life that actually feels like yours. Because the only thing worse than failing is never trying at all. There's something haunting about an unfulfilled dream. It doesn't just disappear. It lingers, quietly tapping at the back of your mind, reminding you of what could have been. The story of a father who gave up music for financial security is all too common. He chose safety over soul, routine over rhythm. Now, years later, he carries the ache of a song that never got sung. This isn't just his story. It's a mirror for countless people stuck in jobs they don't love, relationships that drain them, lives that feel borrowed instead of lived. And what stops them? Fear. The fear of instability, rejection, judgment. Following your dreams doesn't mean throwing logic out the window. It means not silencing what makes you feel alive. That dream, whether it's to write, travel, build, create, or lead, exists for a reason. It's your internal compass trying to guide you somewhere meaningful. But too many people bury it under bills, expectations, and what-ifs. They wait for permission that never comes. Here's the truth. The world doesn't hand out permission slips for greatness. You either chase it or watch it drift away. And the longer you ignore it, the louder the regret becomes. Dreams don't die quietly. They turn into resentment, burnout, and that nagging voice whispering, "You were meant for more." And deep down, you know it's right. When you ignore a dream, you betray a part of yourself. You become a stranger in your own story. The routines may keep you afloat, but they'll never make you feel fulfilled. People weren't born to just pay bills and scroll through life. We were meant to create, to feel, to build something that matters. And it starts with honoring those forgotten dreams. The craziest part? Most people are waiting for the right time. They think when the kids grow up or the money shows up, then they'll start. But time doesn't work like that. It keeps moving, faster than we realize. The someday you keep promising yourself turns into never if you're not careful. That's why it's so dangerous to wait. The dream won't wait forever, and neither will your energy, your health, or your youth. You've got to take the shot while you can still run toward it, even if you're scared. So here's the challenge. What dream have you buried? What part of you have you silenced to play it safe? Because there's a version of you out there, living fully, creating boldly, and leading with purpose. But you'll never meet them if you keep hiding behind comfort. This isn't about recklessness. It's about reclaiming your fire. The fire that says, "I was made for something more." And that fire, it's still there, smoldering, waiting for you to breathe life back into it. Fear has a way of dressing up as logic. It whispers things like, "Be realistic," or "It's too late," or "What if you fail?" But behind every excuse, there's often one thing hiding: fear. And when you strip away all the noise, you're left with one question that cuts to the core. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Most people freeze at that question, not because they don't know the answer, but because deep down, they do. And that truth terrifies them. It shows them the life they could be living, if only they were brave enough to choose it. When people stop lying to themselves, that's when transformation begins. Suddenly, the dream they've been pushing aside for years starts to come into focus. They remember how it felt to imagine more, to want something bigger than the day-to-day grind. Fear loses its grip when you realize it's been dictating your choices for far too long. And the real tragedy isn't failure. It's staying stuck in a life you never wanted just because it was familiar. Security isn't freedom. Routine isn't passion. And comfort zones are just slow death traps. Imagine this. You're at the end of your life, looking back. What's more painful, failing at something you love or never trying at all? That's the weight this question carries. It forces you to confront the life you're building and ask if it's truly yours or just borrowed from other people's expectations. It's a jolt to the system, a wake-up call, and once it hits you, you can't unsee it. You either rise or retreat, but either way, you're choosing. Now here's the kicker. People think they need courage to start, but courage comes after you start, not before. Action is what builds bravery. Clarity comes from movement. You don't have to know the whole plan. You just need to take the first step without letting fear drive the car. Sure, it'll be in the back seat. It might even scream from time to time, but it doesn't get to hold the wheel unless you let it. Your job? Keep moving forward anyway, because the moment you take action in spite of fear, you reclaim your power. You shift from being a prisoner of your thoughts to a creator of your reality. And from that place, everything starts to change. New paths open, new energy flows, new results show up. And it all starts with one brave question. So, now what? Will you keep pretending you don't know the answer? Or will you do something with it? Most people think doing nothing is safe. They believe staying where they are, avoiding risks, means avoiding pain. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Inaction has a cost, and it's often higher than failure. Every day you don't act is a day you trade potential for regret. You trade progress for comfort. You trade purpose for routine. And even if no one else sees it, you feel it. Deep down, there's a quiet voice that keeps asking, is this really it? That voice doesn't go away. It just gets buried beneath distractions. When you don't move, you don't stay the same. You slowly fade. Think about it. Muscles weaken when you don't use them. Dreams decay when you don't chase them. And confidence? It dies every time you back down from what matters. Over time, your spirit starts to shrink, and that spark you once had dims until it's barely noticeable. That's the hidden cost of staying still. It's not dramatic. It's not loud, but it's devastating. It sneaks up on you day by day until one day you wake up and barely recognize yourself. And here's the part that really hits. That pain doesn't show up as a lightning bolt. It shows up as boredom, bitterness, frustration, and a constant sense that something's missing. People blame jobs, relationships, the economy, but many times the root of it all is a dream denied, a purpose ignored, a decision postponed for too long. Waiting feels like it buys you time, but it actually steals it, because while you wait, life moves on, and it doesn't stop for anyone. There's a saying, if you choose not to decide, you've still made a choice, and that choice carries consequences. The longer you delay action, the heavier your regrets become. You start imagining parallel versions of yourself, versions who did act, who did risk, who did try. And those imagined lives haunt you more than any mistake ever could. That's the silent tragedy of inaction, the life you could have lived if only you'd moved. So ask yourself, what has inaction already cost you? Not just in opportunities, but in energy, joy, and meaning? Because the truth is, the price of staying stuck isn't zero, it's your future. And if you don't act soon, you might just lose the most precious thing of all, time. But what if there was a way to break free from that invisible trap? Nobody hands out success like a gift. There's no line where you sign up and receive a dream life wrapped in a bow. The truth is, you fight for it. You wrestle with doubts, push through setbacks, and bleed through failures. It's not easy, and it's not supposed to be. That's what makes it real. That's what makes it yours. People often think if something's meant to be, it'll come effortlessly. But that's a myth. Everything meaningful demands effort. If you want the title of champion, creator, leader, visionary, you earn it in the dark when no one's watching. This is where most people give up. Not because they don't have talent, but because they expected applause before the results. They wanted validation before putting in the work. But here's the deal. Belief has to come before the proof. You've got to believe when there's no crowd, no spotlight, no cheerleaders. That's where real strength is built. In silence, in sacrifice, in sweat. The journey might be long, but every step builds the grit that separates dreamers from doers. The ones who make it aren't the lucky. They're the relentless. And sure, you'll be misunderstood. People will say you've changed. Some will laugh. Others will doubt. That's part of the process. Most people are too afraid to chase their own dreams, so they mock those who do. But you don't need everyone to understand. You just need to keep moving. Let their silence be your soundtrack. Let their doubt fuel your discipline. Let the lack of applause remind you that this fight is about you, not them. You're not here to impress. You're here to become. Think of the legends, the game changers, the names that echo through history. None of them had an easy path. They were rejected, mocked, pushed aside, but they kept showing up. They kept swinging. Because they knew one thing. Nobody delivers greatness to your doorstep. You have to knock the door down and claim it. And sometimes that means standing alone, falling often, and choosing to get up even when your body screams, no more. That's where real transformation happens, on the battlefield of persistence. So the next time you feel tired, discouraged, or invisible, remember this: no one will hand you your dream. You've got to fight for it with everything you've got. The bruises, they're proof that you showed up. The silence, it means you're ahead of the crowd. And the doubt, it's just a sign you're on the right path. But what happens when you stop looking for the prize and start becoming the kind of person who deserves it? Life isn't a straight road. It's a series of cliffs, storms, and crossroads. And to move forward, you need more than just plans or talent. You need courage, not just once, but over and over again. Courage to speak up, courage to say no, courage to start, to fall, to try again. Most people think bravery is loud and dramatic, but real courage? It's quiet. It's getting out of bed when everything feels heavy. It's showing up when you're scared. It's choosing growth over comfort, day after day, even when no one claps for it. Here's the raw truth. Everything worth living for comes with risk. Love risks heartbreak. Purpose risks failure. Dreams risk judgment. But the biggest risk of all is not taking one. Playing it safe sounds smart until it leaves you empty. People think they're protecting themselves by avoiding risk, but they're actually avoiding life. They wake up one day surrounded by safety, but feeling numb, disconnected, and lost, because the walls that keep out pain also block joy, meaning, and growth. And yes, courage hurts. It stretches you. It demands things you didn't think you had. But through that process, something incredible happens. You evolve. You become stronger, clearer, more alive. Courage doesn't mean you're never afraid. It means fear doesn't get the final say. It means you show up anyway. You speak anyway. You act anyway. And each time you do, you build resilience. You create momentum. You remind yourself that you're not here to survive. You're here to live. Think about it. How many people do you know who are just existing, living the same year over and over and calling it a life? That's not living. It's waiting to die. Courage is what turns time into experience. It's what transforms moments into milestones. And the beautiful irony? The more you act in spite of fear, the less power that fear has. It shrinks, you grow, and little by little, the life you once only imagined becomes the life you actually live. So maybe the real question isn't, what if I fail? But what if I don't try? What would it cost you to keep playing small? To keep hiding? Because the price of comfort is your potential. And while fear is loud, regret is louder, and it lasts longer. But what if there was a way to use that discomfort, that inner fire, to build something unshakable? Mediocrity doesn't come screaming into your life. It sneaks in silently, through skipped chances, ignored instincts, and the endless pursuit of comfort. It disguises itself as normal, safe, and good enough. And before you know it, You're stuck in a life that looks fine from the outside but feels empty on the inside. The truth is, greatness and mediocrity cannot coexist. You have to choose. And choosing greatness means embracing discomfort, not because it's fun, but because that's where growth happens. Pain is the tuition you pay for progress. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your training ground. Every moment of pressure, stress, or challenge is shaping you into someone stronger. Look at anyone who's built something meaningful. They didn't avoid the hard stuff. They leaned into it. They showed up when it was cold, quiet, and thankless, because they understood something most people miss. Comfort is seductive, but it steals your edge. It dulls your hunger. It makes you forget what you're capable of. And before you know it, you're settling for a watered-down version of the life you wanted. And let's be real, comfort now often means chaos later. The comfort of avoiding difficult conversations leads to broken relationships. The comfort of skipping the gym leads to health problems. The comfort of not chasing your goals, that leads to a life full of what-ifs. So if the path feels hard, congratulations, you're probably on the right one. Because ease rarely leads to excellence. Diamonds are made under pressure. Warriors are forged in battle. And real men, real women, are built in the furnace of discomfort. Here's something no one tells you. Carrying the past is way heavier than facing the future. Too many people drag around stories of failure, shame, or disappointment like emotional baggage, but you can't climb while holding on to dead weight. Letting go of mediocrity means letting go of excuses, blame, and fear. It means staring at your limitations and choosing to rise anyway. It means seeing discomfort not as something to avoid, but as the doorway to your next level. So here's the gut check. Where in your life are you choosing ease over excellence? Where have you made peace with mediocrity because it felt safe? The good news is, you can change that story today, right now. You can draw a line and say, no more. But what happens when you finally believe that discomfort isn't the end of the road, but the beginning of everything you've been searching for? Most people wait for permission. They wait for someone to say, you're good enough, you're ready, or now is the time. But here's the secret no one tells you. Belief has to come before the applause. You have to believe in yourself when no one else does. When your dreams sound crazy, when your progress is invisible, when your confidence is shaky, you still have to show up. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. You don't wait for applause. You earn it by walking through the silence with unwavering faith. In the beginning, the crowd is quiet. Your friends don't understand. Your family doubts. The results are small, slow, sometimes even invisible. But that's the moment when belief matters most. Because if you can hold your vision in the dark, the light will eventually come. It's like planting seeds. You don't see growth on day one, but if you water it with effort, patience, and consistency, it will grow. And when it finally breaks the surface, everyone else will act like it bloomed overnight. But you'll know the truth. It was years in the making. People forget that every legend was once laughed at. Every innovator was doubted. Every trailblazer was warned to play it safe. The ones who made it, they didn't wait for a green light. They became the green light. They moved, they failed, they adjusted, and they never let external noise drown out their internal drive. That kind of faith doesn't come easy. It's built through daily action, through showing up even when it hurts, and through choosing your future self over your current comfort. It's easy to believe when things are working, when the results are flowing, the support is loud, and the wins are stacking up. But that's not where belief is born. It's born in the lonely nights, in the sacrifices no one sees, in the mornings when you want to quit, but don't. That's where confidence is forged, in action without applause. You don't need a crowd to be worthy. You need commitment. You need clarity. You need a reason why that's bigger than any setback or delay. So ask yourself, can you act like the person you want to become before you see the results? Can you show up now like the version of you that already made it? That's the real test, because the world eventually claps for those who never stopped clapping for themselves. But what if the applause you're waiting for is actually on the other side of your next bold move? Time is the one resource you can't negotiate with. You can't rewind it, pause it, or buy more of it. Once it's gone, it's gone. And yet, people treat time like it's unlimited, scrolling endlessly, procrastinating on their purpose, waiting for someday like it's guaranteed. But someday isn't a day of the week. It's a fantasy. Every second you spend hesitating is a second you never get back. And the scary part? Most people won't realize that until it's too late, until their chances are memories and their dreams are regrets. Think about this. If someone stole $10 from you, you'd be furious. But if someone steals 10 minutes of your life, you shrug. Why? Because you can see money, but time, it slips through your fingers quietly. That's why it's so dangerous. You don't notice the loss until you wake up 5 years later wondering where the fire went. Life doesn't hand out second chances, it hands out choices. And the longer you wait, the fewer you have. That's not fear talking, it's reality knocking. Look around. How many people do you know who are stuck in cycles? Same job, same complaints, same excuses. Not because they don't want more, but because they keep postponing action. They're waiting for some sign, some perfect moment. But perfect moments don't show up. They're created. And every moment you delay is a silent agreement to stay where you are. Time doesn't care if you're ready. It keeps moving. And if you don't move with it, you get left behind. Being honest with yourself is the first step. Ask the hard questions. Am I living with purpose? Am I chasing what matters or just surviving? Am I proud of how I'm spending my time? Or am I just getting through the days? These questions aren't comfortable, but they're necessary, because until you face them, nothing changes. And nothing is more expensive than a life unlived. One day, your time will run out. The only question is, will you have anything meaningful to show for it? So here's the challenge. Treat your time like your life depends on it, because it does. Every hour is a brick in the foundation of your legacy. Don't build something forgettable. Don't trade your future for the illusion of comfort. Because what if the only thing standing between you and the life you were meant to live is what you decide to do today? Motivation is like a spark. It gets things going, but it doesn't keep the fire burning. One day it's there, pushing you to act. The next, it's gone, and you're left waiting for it to come back. That's why you can't build your future on motivation alone. You need something stronger. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is the quiet force that shows up when the hype fades. It's doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. And that's what separates those who succeed from those who start and stop endlessly. Most people chase motivation like it's the missing key. They wait to feel ready, to get inspired, or to be in the mood. But waiting is a trap, because action isn't the result of motivation. It's the cause. When you move, even when you're tired or scared, that's when progress happens. Discipline creates momentum, and momentum creates belief. It turns effort into habit, and habit into identity. You stop being someone who tries, and start being someone who executes. The truth is, discipline isn't sexy. It's not flashy. It's waking up early, saying no to distractions, showing up when no one's watching. But over time, those small, quiet acts of self-respect build something powerful. You gain confidence, not from hype, but from results. You stop relying on outside energy because you've built your own engine. And while others burn out chasing motivation highs, you keep rising. Because discipline is sustainable. It lasts when moods don't. And here's where it gets real. Most of the things you want are on the other side of boring, repetitive effort. Want health? Show up to the gym. Want wealth? Show up to your plan. Want freedom? Show up to your mission. Motivation might get you started once, but discipline will carry you through the grind, the doubt, and the delays. It's the bridge between your dreams and your reality. Without it, everything stays an idea. So ask yourself, are you waiting to feel inspired, or are you committed no matter what? Because the life you want doesn't need more emotion. It needs more execution. And when you finally stop waiting for the right feeling and start becoming the right person, what else becomes possible? Life doesn't reward the cautious. It rewards the bold. Playing it safe might keep you comfortable for a while, but eventually, comfort becomes a cage. You stop growing, stop reaching, stop living. And when you stop risking, you start fading. Slowly, quietly. You become invisible, not because you're not capable, but because you stopped stepping forward. The truth is brutal, but freeing. If you don't take risks, you disappear, not just from the world, but from yourself, from your potential, from your purpose. People think legacy is built in big moments, but it's actually forged in risk, in choosing action over hesitation, in saying yes when it's scary, in daring to be seen, even if you might fail. Think of the people who changed history. They didn't tiptoe their way to impact. They jumped, even when the net wasn't visible. And that's what it takes. To risk failure, to risk rejection, to risk being misunderstood. Because the only real failure is not showing up at all. Staying on the sidelines feels safe, but it's actually dangerous. It costs you time, energy, and eventually your identity. You start to shrink. You forget what it feels like to be fully alive. That ache in your chest, it's your soul knocking, begging you to do something that matters. The risk isn't in failing. The real risk is never trying. It's living a life so watered down, no one, including you, remembers what you stood for. Every moment you hesitate is a moment your greatness goes unnoticed. Every time you say, maybe later, you gamble your legacy. You weren't made to blend in. You weren't born to settle. Playing small doesn't serve the world, and it sure doesn't serve you. You've got something powerful inside, but if you don't act on it, the world never gets to see it, and that's a tragedy. So here's the wake-up call. This is your shot, your moment, your chance to step into the arena. You can keep hiding, keep waiting, keep blending, or you can move. Make the call, launch the idea, say what needs to be said, because the ones who leave a mark are the ones who dared to risk it all and never looked back. So now that it's all out in the open, your dreams, your fears, your time, your excuses, what are you going to do about it? You've heard the truth. You've felt the weight of everything you've been avoiding. And maybe for the first time, you realize that your life doesn't change with inspiration. It changes with action. You don't need more motivation. You need a decision, a real one that cuts through the noise, the fear, and the comfort and says, I'm done living on pause. Let me ask you, what's one thing you know you've been putting off? One move you've been too scared to make? What would happen if you stopped waiting and started doing? No more talking yourself out of your purpose. No more shrinking. No more bargaining with fear. Because that dream, that future, that fire inside you, it's not going to wait forever, and neither should you. Don't let this just be another video you watched. Let it be a line in the sand, a moment where something clicked, where you stood up for your future instead of running from it. Because the life you want, it's already out there, waiting for you to show up and claim it. All it takes is one bold step, and then another, until your actions speak louder than your doubts. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't made to stay stuck. You've got something powerful inside you, and the world needs to see it. But first, you need to believe it. You need to fight for it. And you need to commit to showing up day after day, even when it's hard. Because that's what transformation looks like. Not perfection, but consistency. Not luck, but choice. If this message hit you, if something inside you shifted, even just a little, don't let it fade. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications. This is just the beginning. There's more truth, more growth, more fire coming your way. But for now, go do something bold. Go risk. Go build. Go live.